Day number 7 of building a global e-commerce brand. In this series, I show you everything behind the scenes that we do to build a brand and hopefully grow it to and beyond 8 figures. So this is what I'm going to show you today, or in this series in general. So if you like something like that, if you want to follow along, subscribe to this series because this is going to be really, really cool. Today, we're going to talk about very, very boring things, but probably the most important things when it comes to building brands, which is numbers. So I'm going to show you behind the scenes. We're going to talk order forecast, cash flow forecast, inventory forecast, profit and loss sheets, cash forecast, all of that boring stuff. There's very few people who really enjoy math, who really like math. Normally that's very nerdy people. But when it comes to e-commerce, you have to be a nerd, have to understand these things. There's no way around it. Every secret is in the numbers. The secret, how do I grow the business? How fast can I even afford to grow the business? Why am I losing money? Like on paper I'm profitable, but my cash is draining. What's going on? All of those secrets are in the number. So to give you some context, the brand that we acquired the global part, the non-US part. The US part's already doing really well, but we see big potential for the international part. For the US part, we started to work with the owner about a year ago. And we did exactly what we show you today. We did this spreadsheet here. And when we built that spreadsheet, we figured out how to double the business just by looking at the numbers. When we were working with the brand, we doubled the profits of the business in 90 days. In 90 days, we took all of the actions that were needed and we doubled the profit of the business, so the take-home money from the owner, just by looking at the numbers and reshuffling a couple of things. So I want to show you today all of the things that we do. You can find this spreadsheet in the comments below. You don't need to sign up, don't need to leave me your email. You just click on the link and then you can import it into your own Google Drive. All I ask in return is give me a comment and let me know if you want me to make a dedicated video about all these numbers, because today I'm sharing how the numbers look like for us. If you want me to make you a dedicated guide on how to exactly do these numbers for you, let me know in the comments if you're interested in that. So let's jump in. I want to show you a couple of things. Very first, let's start here. This is sales forecast. So this is basically looking at the inventory. So you can see here, I'll make this a little bit bigger. This is kind of the graph. So you see in blue, you have what the brand was selling 2022 to 2023. In red, 23 to 24. And EPE, that's our company, Ecom. This is what we're forecasting to do. So you see the business that we acquired is a bit of a seasonal business, and summer is the big season for it. You can see here kind of some of the details. So you see September, October, November. Right now we have August and we will start selling in September. So that's why I started here in September. So you can see here the order numbers, 148 units, 161 units, 200 units, until the end of the year, 160 units. Then you see in the next year, this June was really bad. So this June, we only sold half of what we sold last June, or what the company sold last June. So the brand is absolutely declining when it comes to the international market, but we think we can do much, much better. So in September, we think we're going to start to sell with about 100 units. And last year, that was 140 units. But again, we have that downward trend. So this is where we're going. Then the average order value, you can see here, those are expensive products. And I love to sell expensive products, and you're going to see why in a minute in the numbers. But basically, the average order value was about $600, and we're going to get this up to $800. This for us was really important because we know how much we can make extra. We already did a bunch of split tests around that. And really has to do with upselling accessories. So this is a huge deal for the business to increase the average order value that much. So you can see the average order value, we just assume $800. And again, is it going to be exactly $800? Of course not. Is every number on the spreadsheet is going to change? Of course. But if you don't put the numbers on the spreadsheet or if you put the numbers on the spreadsheet and they don't work on the spreadsheet, they're for sure not going to work in real life. So here you can see how this looks like, because I always need to do things and put them a little bit on a graph for me to make this visual, to make it, more clear. So you can see that from September to about here, February, we're not really selling much more. Like there's a little bit more that we're aiming for, but it's not going to be that crazy. November, you see the sales really go up because for this business, Black Friday for us is absolutely bigger than Christmas. So on Black Friday, we're absolutely thinking that we can sell a lot. which leads to a lot of problems. You're going to see this later in the video. This really puts us in a tight spot when it comes to cash flow. Because one thing is to look at the numbers like, yay, we're going to sell more, right? And then next year, we're really going to crank up the marketing and make best and make, most out of summer and really make money here. But it's one thing to say, yay, we're going to really crank up the sales. If we crank up the sales like this, the first time where we're actually making money, where we're actually going to be able to take out money of the business is next year, August. So for the next 12 months, we're not taking a salary and we're just building this business. It's doing $1 million a year and there's not 1 cent that can come out of it because the business is growing. And I want to show you today a little bit why. Because it's one thing to see, all of those fucking screenshots on YouTube of like, here's how much money I made on TikTok Shop and here's my 7-figure whatever. Yeah, but how much money are you actually taking home? Because in e-commerce, if it's not drop shipping, cash flow is a bitch. So cash flow, we're going to go over that, but cash flow is your oxygen. It's the air that you need to breathe. And if you run out of cash, even if you're growing, even if you're selling a lot, then you're dying. You don't have enough money to buy the stock that you need early enough. So let me show you how this looks like. Here, I'm going to give you an overview. This is our order forecast. So I break this down for units. Now that we know how much we're going to sell, right? We have these units, 100 units, 150 units, 250 units. This is the amount of units that we're going to sell, September, October, November. So I made an order forecast to see when do we need to order units and how many units we need to order when, so that we can see how much in advance do we need to place the order to then see how much money is it going to cost us to buy products before we even take any money home or before the business even makes any money. So here I break this down per week. So this is calendar week 33, 34, 35, and I put the dates up here. So you see this is August, this is September, and then it goes on 150 units in October, 100 units in September. And then basically here I built the spreadsheet where I can say, for example, here, let's say we pretend we buy 100 units and now we have to put our lead time. So the lead time means from the moment you place the order until the units are actually ready for pickup, what is that time? What does it take for the manufacturer to make? So let's say here we start, let's say we have 1 week lead time because we have a super great relationship with the supplier and they're really our buddy and they can do all of that. Then we have the payment terms. So payment terms are, this is where one of the most important parts of the business is payment terms in e-commerce. So these are the terms that we have with the supplier, which basically means when we have to pay the supplier. So here you can see I put different terms. So this one would be 30% at the order, 70% when we pick up the product. In the end of the day, we want to go here. We want to be able to pay $30% down when we place the order and 70% of the order 45 days after we picked up the product, because that's really going to help our cash flow. You're going to see in this in a minute very clearly how that works. So for example, let's say here, we just do it very simple. We have 30% on the order and 70% on pickup. And then here we can see it adds dates, it adds numbers in here. So how many days does it take for the lead time and when is the pickup date? And then which week is the pickup date? So you see here, calendar week 41, we place the order. 7 days later is calendar week 42 where it's ready to pick up. The next thing that we have here is shipping time. So there's 2 different shipping methods that we can use. The products that we're selling are really heavy. It costs us about $150 per product to ship them from China by air. It costs us about $60 to ship them from China by sea and then fulfill them locally. So door to door with 3-day shipping when we have the product shipped, by sea and then they land there and then we can give people 3 to 5 days shipping locally. That only costs us $60. Shipping the products by air from China takes 2 weeks to ship the products and it costs us $150. So it's like, why the hell would we do that? It ruins the customer experience and it's so much more expensive. Well, the answer is cash flow and you're going to see that in a minute. So here, for example, if I say air shipping, the shipping time here is 7 days. So that is not the time that it takes to ship to the customer. That is the time to ship the products to us from the manufacturer to ship into our warehouse in China. That's the 7-day shipping time. If I have sea shipping, you see here, it takes about 35 days for those products to land in our warehouse because that way they land in our warehouses in Europe, for example. Here, when we airship from China, it takes 7 days to land in our local Chinese warehouse. And then from the Chinese warehouse, it takes 2 weeks to fulfill things to the customer. But we just want to know basically, when do we have products available? So all these numbers change here. I'm going to hide these because that's just for math reasons, really. So I'm just going to hide these so you can see what actually happens down here. So for example, if we order, let's say 3 units and it takes 7 days to do it, we can see when will these units be delivered. So in this case, they will go here. Let me just take that out to make it clear. So if we say we order 3 units and we airship them from China, we receive the units here. If we sea ship them, we receive the units here in November. Oh, that kind of sucks, right? So the reason that we can't sea ship these products in the beginning is because in order to have our sales make sense, in order to have enough inventory, we have to buy the products way too early if we sea ship the products. But if we airship the products, here we get the units. So we can see here in the very beginning, we're placing an order. We have 200 units. Those 200 units are already in the local warehouses, so we just buy them from there. So that's kind of where we start. We start with 200 units. And then when we start with 200 units, here's where we have inventory. But then we're selling 25 units per week, right? We're selling 100 units per month, 25 per week. So we go from 200 units, 175, 150, 125, and eventually here by week 42, we run out of products. So we have to understand, when do we have to buy products in order to have enough units by week 42? So then we have to see, okay, here's the first order. Let's place the next order as late as possible so that we can sell. Because once we start selling, now we're making money, we're making cash, and we need to have that cash to pay for the order. Here you can see how much it costs. This is the down payment. This is the net payment. So this is the payment we have to do when we pick up the product. This is the total inventory payment. And this is how much we have to pay for shipping. So the total order for us is $100,000. So let's see. Let's order a second one. Here we place an order. I think that was like 150 units. We have 14 days lead time. And we're gonna have these terms and we airship from China. So that means here we have more units. But actually we don't need the units here yet. So maybe we can place the order here. And we have 14 days shipping. Boom, taking this out of here. Now we're replenishing right here. That is a good time to replenish products. So here's where we go. Then we have 150 units. And then we have to see, when do we buy them? So here's the terms. So we see, when do we have to put the down payment? 70% of pickup. You see, here's the down payment where we buy the products. Here is the payments that we have to do when we pick up the products, because it takes 14 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. Here we have to make the money, which means we have these 2 weeks to sell, to actually earn money that we can then use for inventory. And then we're gonna airship them. So also what you can see, the very cool thing I want to show you here is, if we have other terms, let's say we need to pay after 30 days, you see the payment here disappears. You see, it goes away from here and it moves way back to here. So it goes on top of this order payment. So this is how important that is, because now here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks that we have time to sell more products and collect the cash of all these products to then buy these units. So this is how it looks like for us. And I'm going to switch this back and show you the next step. So with this in mind, I know we're not running out of products. We have enough stock here all the time to fulfill these products. So basically when we reach January, when we have 1,000 units ordered, then we get the better term. Right? So then we can start to delay payments, and then we can afford to have sea shipping, and then we can afford to offer customers local shipping, and we can afford to give them 3 to 5 day shipping, and can afford to give them a great customer experience. And of course, the advertisement team is like, are you crazy? If we don't have fast shipping, the conversion rate is going to be much lower. The CPA is going to be much higher. It's like, yes, that is true. And if you look at it from a marketing perspective and from a profit loss perspective, now you have to spend more money to acquire customers, and you convert lower percentages. So your ads are not as effective, which means you're basically burning money. The problem is that when it comes to cash flow, you don't have enough money, or we don't have enough money to finance that. So that is the most tricky part in e-commerce, and you always run into that trap. So when you grow the business, especially if the business is growing really fast and you have to place the order 6 weeks in advance, that's a big problem. So if you order too much and you're not selling as much as expected, you're fucked. Of course, then you now have to pay the order, but you didn't make enough money. You're fucked. Or if you order too less, especially with this as a seasonal product, so if we don't order enough and it's a season where we're the really only season where we're gonna really make money and we don't have enough units, now we're not making the money that we could make. So this is really the bitch of e-commerce, and this is the bitch named cash flow, but you have to learn how to, seduce that bitch and make it your bitch when it comes to cash flow. Let me show you the next thing, which is then the actual forecast. So here you see a bunch of numbers on the screen. I'm going to go through our profit and loss forecast. Then I'm going to go through our inventory forecast. This is basically just pulling the numbers from what we did before. So here we have what payment terms are we working with, how many units are we selling, how many units are new orders that we have to place, and how many units we receive. So for example, you can see that we're going to sell 500 units in these 4 months, but we have to buy 650 units because we have to buy enough units so that later we have enough to sell. So this is really where cash flow planning comes in. And so we're going to go over cash forecast, inventory forecast as well, and then the cash balance. And I'm going to show you when we're going to make money, how much money is actually coming out of $1 million business. So let's start on the top, and I'm going to run you through our numbers. And again, if you want to have an in-depth guide on how we come up with this, why these numbers are important, just let me know, and I'm going to make a guide for you in another video. So here you can see, these are the units. Let's start in September. We're going to sell 100 units in September. From that, we're going to make about $100,000 revenue. It's an $800 average order value for the main product, but we also have $200 in accessories that we're selling. So that adds up to $1,000 average order value per order. Let's go to cost of goods. So cost of goods is what does it cost you to buy the products? And this is for our main product, the $800 sales price on average costs us $459. So we have less than 50% gross profit. That is the downside of selling expensive products, but there are so many upsides on selling expensive products. I hate selling cheap products. The ratio, it's going to be way, way different, but there are many, many more downsides to it, and we're not going to go into that right now. Shipping, it's going to cost us about $60 shipping because the very first order is already in the inventory, the brand already C-shipped that, so we're just going to pay the C-ship cost on that. After that, you see here is air shipping cost until we can afford again to C-ship in January. So we can then see the total cost of goods. So this is just units sold times the cost per goods. So that's $45,000. Then we have the shipping total, works the same way. Then we have the cost of goods for the accessories. So we have about 50% margin on those. And then we have the total cost of goods and shipping, which is $61,000 that we have to pay out of the $100,000. So this is the first kind of indicator if you see screenshots on YouTube. Don't believe all the screenshots. Revenue is not profit, and profit is not cash. So our gross profit, so the gross profit is how much does it cost us to deliver the unit, the product to the customer, all the costs you incur in order to make it possible to offer a product, basically. So that's $38,000 that go off, or that we keep. So our gross profit is 38%. Then we have right now 5% cancellations and returns. That is very high. That is too high for me. And we're doing a lot of things on that. So the reason that is so high, most of that is cancellations because the customer support is horrible that the brand is doing. And the shipping right now, so if they ship products, for example, to France, normally it takes 50 days because they're cheap on it and they say, we don't want to spend too much on shipping. And therefore we C-ship individual units to the customer. Whereas we say we airship individual units to a customer, so we pay almost 4 times more money, but we're not going to have all these cancellations. However, when I do these forecasts, I really like to forecast the worst case. So don't the numbers don't work. Maybe we're going to do better here. Don't do that. So I know that we will do better. We'll probably go down to 2 or 3% here. We will see that in the series. But for now, I just assume we have 5%. So that means $5,000 here go off the actual money that we make. Then we have 3% fees. So this is your payment processing fees. This is your credit card fees, your PayPal fees, your Klarna fees, your whatever you have as payment processing. Those are the fees. So that come out to $3,000. So the gross profit minus fees and returns is $30,000. So that is 30%. That means we only have 30% to work with that has to cover the fixed cost of the business, that have to cover the ad spend of the business and all the variable cost. Why is this important? Is, for example, some of the fixed costs, it doesn't matter if you have, if you sell, $100,000 per month or $300,000 per month. If you have an office, your office rent is not going to change. Your office rent is fixed. That's going to stay. If you have an advertisement team that has a fixed cost or people in your team that have fixed cost to it, it doesn't change much if you sell $100,000 or $300,000 a month. Of course, if you go to $1 million a month, etc., your team gets bigger, of course, but it doesn't go proportionate. So this is why the gross profit is really important to know. It just gives you the frameworks, the tools to see, okay, this month we made $200,000. So that means 30% of that is 60 grand that I have left over to spend on ads, to spend in, operations costs, to have my fixed costs from it, things like that. So our marketing is very low. This is the biggest benefit of having an existing brand or buying into an existing brand or building a brand, because you say, wait a minute, you're spending $6,000 in ads and you're making 100 grand. What the fuck? Yeah, this is because most of these sales come organic. Those are people that already bought a product before that buy again. So that's LTV purchases. That is word of mouth, a lot of word of mouth. So we have about 30% of word of mouth that just comes from people that share. That say, hey, I have this product, it's awesome, you should buy it, and they talk to their friends. So that's huge. And then you have all the other organic things of people making YouTube videos about it, of people talking about it, of media picking it up and putting it out there. Those are all organic sales. And we have about a 1% conversion rate on $1,000 average order value. And that is only because the brand already has a good reputation. So this is really the biggest benefit of building a brand. You can see it here in the numbers. And to be honest, we're putting a lot of money into this, and I would never put that much money into it, into a new business. I would be way more conservative on all of this, but because we're buying this, from an existing thing, we already know the numbers. Okay, let's go on. Then we have tools. So tools here, that is Shopify Plus is about $2,300 per month. Klaviyo at this level, where we have about 50,000 email subscribers, is about $1,000 a month. There's Triple Whale that we pay about $500 a month. There is Gorgeous as a customer support platform that gets about $500 per month. Right? So these things really stack up. When you start the business and you don't have email subscribers, and you're considering, should I pay $40 for Klaviyo or $24 or $25 for MailChimp? It doesn't fucking matter in the beginning. Those costs are so small, but they really start to add up. Okay. Here we have external teams. Actually, this one has to go in another bucket. Here we have external teams. So in September, we spent about $7,000. So we have an external advertiser, we have an external web developer, and we have an external designer. So those are freelancers that we use, and the advertiser is an agency. The agency gets about $4,000. So that's a lot of money for spending $6,000 in ads. But that is also our growth engine. So if we look back here, you can see that in order to have this growth next year, we need to have the right ads partners or the right media buyers and strategists that now have the next few months to really figure out what are the best ads, what are the best products we can perform, which country is performing best. We have 32 countries to choose from. In winter, they're really going to push Australia, because then Australia has summer to make up a little bit of those sales so that we can, do more in December, that you see here. But we really need to figure out what are good ads in Canada, what are good ads in Europe in summer. And that will take January, February, March to figure out. So the reason why we spend so much in that in the beginning is because that is our growth engine. The business already is really, really good as a business. So it means half of the people or let's say 25% of the people that purchase a product purchase again within 30 days. And 35% of the people that purchase again within 90 days. We're already making good money from the brand, from retention, from referrals. but the growth engine of the business is bringing new people into the business. And for us, that's ads, because there's a lot of people that don't know these brands. So ads, that's really our growth engine, and we have to do more there, and we will spend a lot more in the future. Also, you can see here, $44,000 in August. So this is just the money that I'm accounting for that I put out of my pocket. So this is basically, you know, we spent money in making product photos and having them edited. Even though we shot them in-house, it's still a cost. We spent money in building a new website and changing things on a website. We spent $10,000 just to build a support platform, to build a support center where people can fix their own problems. Because, again, here, the returns are very high and we can't keep that. So we have to do something about it. So these are all costs that my team incurred or external team incurred that I want the business to pay me back. This is an investment. So that's why I'm accounting for this. Okay, so total business expenses here come to almost $20,000 per month. And then of course later, once we spend more on internal teams and things like that. So you can see the net, what we have left over out of this $100,000 here is about 12 grand. That's about 12%. Then it goes down to 8%. In January and February, it's going to go down to 6 and 8%. That is horrible. And this, keep in mind, this is an existing brand. This is not from scratch. This is a brand that already generates a shit ton of money. So you can see how deceiving the revenue numbers can be. And you can ask, like, why would you do this? Like, this looks horrible. Well, the thing is that it's going to go into the 20%. And that is decent. That's not amazing, but that's decent. And what that allows us is to do more things on the brand building side. The thing is, at that level, we have a lot of brand awareness. So then that is the time where distributors and B2B sellers reach out to us, retailers, because people start to walk into their stores and say, hey, do you have this product from this brand? And they're going to say no. And then the next person walks in the store, do you have this from this brand? And they're going to say no. And the third time someone walks into their store and is asking for the product, they're reaching out to us and say, hey, can I please buy your product? Because for them now it's just, if they have the product, they're making money. They don't need to do anything about this. So that's kind of why I'm okay with a lower profit, because we're building a brand. We're building multiple acquisition channels. This allows us to put it on multiple marketplaces, to go on Amazon, to do all of these things. And that is where the true value of the company comes in. So if you can go from just Shopify to Amazon and then also B2B, the multiplier you get when you sell the business is going to be 3 to 5 times higher than just having it on the Shopify side. So that is where we unlock the true value, because in the end of the day, we're building this to sell in 2 or 3 years down the road. Okay, that was profit loss. So you can say, okay, you're making some money. You're making 12 grand, 33 grand. That's pretty cool. So you're going to have your $44,000 back. Let me see, in 3 months. That's decent, right? No, wrong. Let's look at cash flow. Profit and loss is your money on paper. Cash flow is the reality. That's your oxygen. So let's look at that next. Here are the numbers that we're paying for inventory and shipping, and we get that out of the order forecast here. And it happens. It takes it out automatically from that sheet. And basically we see how much we have to spend on accessories per month, how much we have to spend on inventory and shipping for the main product. And then we come up with, this is the cash that's going out. And then there's the operation expenses. So you see in August, where we're making 0 cash inflow because we're not selling anything, we have to pay $157,000 for inventory. It's like, ooh. And then in September, you could say, okay, September, you're making 100 grand. Wrong as well. Because yes, we're doing $100,000 in revenue, but it takes payment processing time until this is paid out. So we have new payment processors, and with a new fresh payment processor, if you put $100,000 into your Stripe, into your PayPal, into your Shopify Pay, they're going to be suspicious about that. And they're going to say, we hold some of your money just to be sure that you don't get too many refunds. That kind of sucks. So now if they're holding half of your money, or you also have payout times, so you have 2 weeks payout times from the moment the customer pays you until Shopify processes the money, until they send you the money, until it reaches your bank account and it's actually available to you. So that's why we're only accounting half. So in October, for example, we're accounting half of the revenue of September plus half of the revenue. That's the first half of October. So the second half of September plus the first half in October. So now if you're in November selling a lot of shit, you're not going to make a lot of money, but you need to pay a lot of money for the inventory. So you can see here in September, we're basically going to do no marketing. And then the operations expenses you can see here. So green is total cash flow, cash inflow that we have. And red is total cash outflow. So if you compare these numbers, we have $150,000 bill before we even start selling, $70,000 bill in the first month where we start selling, but we're not making that up. And in October, because we have to buy more products for November, because in November we're going to sell twice as much because it's Black Friday, we have more cash outflow than inflow, even though we have the full amount of sales here. Isn't that crazy? How much of a cash drain this is? And now imagine on top of that, we would ship the products and we would have to buy 3 times more products. Now all of a sudden we would have to spend $400,000 per month and be $1.2 million in before we even make money back. I don't have $1.2 million. So sorry customer, you have to wait. And we're going to make up for that. We're going to send them gift cards. We're going to set very clear expectations around this. We're going to give them very good expectations about shipping and all of that. But, you know, this is like where, when you come from a marketing background, it's like, you would shout at the business, like, why the fuck would you treat your customers like this? Like, our conversion rates are suffering. Everything is bad. Like, yeah. But on the business side, because also think about it, we have Canada as a region, we have Australia as a region, we have UK as a region, and we have Europe as a region. How do we know how many units are being sold in which country? So if we send too much into one and not enough into the other, that's a problem. Also, we're not selling one product. The product that we're selling has 13 variations and multiple accessories. So it's impossible for us to know. That's why we ship these things from China. Until the end of the year, we gather data. We're okay to make less money because we're paying that price in profit and loss on the paper, but therefore we have more money in the bank. And also we pay for the lessons. We pay for the data. We pay to learn how many products are actually selling in which countries. What are the actual forecast over time, because all of the numbers here, I pulled them out of my ass. They will change. Cash flow balance. So here we have a minus 150,000 in this month. Here we're losing 20 grand. Here we're losing 8. Then we're making money for a little bit. But oh no, here we need to start buying inventory for summer. So we're actually losing money. But in summer, we're actually cash money, like cash in hand out of the business, $200,000 per month. And that's kind of where it will stay. But it will take us a year to get there. At that time, it's like, nice. Like, we're making 200 grand a month in take-home cash. That's fucking amazing. But we're not going to get there soon. So here's a cumulative. So it means we need investment. So we put $44,000 in, and we're raising another $115,000 from a guy that we know called Brian. Brian is our investor. And Brian has a logistic company, so he will help us with the logistics on this. Brian also he does a lot of kind of selling. He doesn't know how to build brand. That's why he want to partner with us, but he knows how to sell shit. He's doing $2 million per month on TikTok right now. He's doing $1 million per month on platforms like Amazon or local platforms like Bol in Netherlands, like Otto in Germany. So those are like local platforms, and he's making good money. But he doesn't know how to build a brand, and that's why he's partnering with us. So he gives us the money here. And then here we have a cumulative cash. So that means this is what the bank account actually is going to look like. So in this bank account, we're going to take 159,000 in. We're going to spend 157. We have 1,000 left over. So 1,000 go into the next month where we have to, spend more money. And this one, I'm just going to put that on a credit card. And then the months after that, we still lose $8,000, but we're going to raise another 30. So we have 2,000. And then from then on, we get 2,000 plus 20,000 is 23. 23 plus 100 is 125. Then we're losing again 4, which makes it 120, right? So here we're draining cash again, but now the business can finance it. But think about that. Now it's January and we have $120,000 in the bank account. And you can't touch the money because you know it's going to be gone. You have to reinvest all of that for the hopes that you do really well in summer. So, welcome to business. This is not for bitches. This is tough. And this is if everything goes by like as planned, and it never goes as planned. So this is the reality of the business. But year number 2, year number 3, year number 4, because you have a strong brand and because you pre-invested into all of that, and it's not a shitty dropshipping business that just dies overnight. This is a really consistent business. This is something that can be sold. You know, if this business does $10 million a year with multiple channels, and that is EBITDA, so that is, you know, kind of, let's call it profits, that's a $30 million price point. So for me, it's worse to sacrifice 2 or 3 years where we're really not making any money, on top of the last 5 years where we just learned about e-commerce, where we didn't really make any money. I'm willing to invest that time because we're working for a, you know, $30 million, $50 million payout that we're working towards to. So that's kind of how this looks like. And that's just the international side. In the future, maybe next summer, we would like to acquire the US side as well and do some things there. Yeah. But again, so this is all of this. I know this was probably boring as fuck. If you're still here, kudos to you. If you want an in-depth guide, again, let me know in the comments. And in that guide, I can really go in depth and show you like, what is a cash conversion cycle? How do we come up with cash flow forecasts? How do we know? How do we get you know, the deals with the suppliers? All of that, and which numbers become the most important business numbers explained. I could make a guide like that. If you're interested in that, if you want to know that, just let me know in the comments. And subscribe, stay tuned for more, and welcome to the series. Thanks again for staying all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Take care. Cheers.